component down. We've done the header. How about we do this part next? So this is our list of messages. So let's make a new component called MessageList. New component, capital M message, capital L list.js. For now, at least, we don't seem to need any state in here. We can always change our minds later if we need to make it a class. It's not that big a deal. So for right now, we'll just import React from the string React. And I'll just say const message list equals an arrow function. Doesn't need a render method because the whole thing's a function. Just needs to return some JSX. So we'll return a div with a class of MessageList. And don't forget to export default MessageList. And we could go ahead and import that into chat.js if we wanted to. So import MessageList from /MessageList. And just throw it right under the chat header. So here's my new chat.js after I've imported that. Now let's do a little bit more to MessageList.js here. Right now there's nothing in there. It should still be on the page if we actually search for it. There it is, MessageList, but there's nothing in it. Empty div. So this is where all the messages go. So let's get fancy like we did in Reactrobats and loop over something. How's that? So let's make ourselves an array that we can loop over. So the whole thing is a function here, but that's okay. We can still make some local variables here before the return statement. Why not? So const messages, and ultimately this will be on state somewhere, but for right now, this is fine. We'll just make messages an array, and each message will be an object. Let's say each message will have an ID. Each message will have a user. We can go ahead and make that an object if we wanted to. So user is actually a separate object with its own like UID, which is some random string. A display name. Maybe an email. And the message is going to have a body. So that's a message. Let's throw another one in there. Get a good conversation going. Message will have an ID. Message will have a user. Some sort of UID. Whatever. Display name. Dana this time. An email. Dana@fretlist.com. And the message will have a body. Cool. So that's another message. So then what we want to do is loop over these and print them on the page, right? And for that, we use what? How do we loop over an array and put something on the page? Yeah, map, right? I don't think I ever asked. Who did all the homework? Who did like every level? Nobody? Yeah? To do the comments, make comments work.
Oh, I made it an alert after you did the comment, but I didn't have time to actually.
Okay. So just one? All right, well, that's cool. Good news, you get to learn how to do that stuff. But who made the clickbait work with map? Cool. Okay. Quite a few people, because we use that trick in Reactor Bats, right? So now this is just a local variable called messages. So down here, this is a JavaScript expression, so I'm going to put it in curly braces. I can just say messages dot map. Map receives a callback. The callback receives an argument. That will be each individual message. I'm going to end up with the word message on this line about 100 times, so I'll abbreviate it MSG, not monosodium glutamate, but rather message. Not the stuff in foods. MSG. All right. So message, what do we want to do with each one of those? I don't know. For now, we could put a paragraph or something for each one. Inside that paragraph, let's say msg.user.displayname, right? Here's a message. .user would be this object. .displayname would be Davey or Dana. Let's put that in curly braces. Colon, and then the message body. So msg.body. See what this gets us. This line's a little long. So keep in mind, we're using a couple tricks here. If you have one argument to an arrow function, you don't need the parentheses around the argument list. If you had no arguments, you would need empty parentheses, right? But with one argument, you don't need parentheses. And you don't need the word return if it's a one-line body here to the function. There's an implicit return. So I still want it to be that way, but I want to put it on multiple lines. So I'm just going to wrap that in parentheses. And then I'm still effectively got a one-line function, and I don't need a return statement. But now I can make this a little bit easier to read by putting it on multiple lines, because that function's getting a little long. There we go. So for each message we've got, we'll just put out a paragraph like this. There it is. Chatting up storm, yo. This guy's so annoying. I hate my job. Looks like I've got a warning here. Each child in an array or iterator should have a unique key prop. Check the render method of MessageList. See this link in the React docs. Cool. Sometimes React gives you really good error messages like this. See what the heck it's talking about with this key prop business. Anybody fix this in their homework last night? Anybody notice this morning and actually fix it? Okay, worth checking. Keys help React identify which items have changed, are added, or are removed. Keys should be given to the elements inside the array to give the elements a stable identity. So the example it shows here, it's using map over a simple array. And then for each li it prints out, it's putting a key prop. And it's giving it some sort of unique identifier. So we could put a key on here. And how about we set it to msg.id? Right? Each one of these has an ID. Seems like a reasonable key prop. And the error went away. So basically, this is so it doesn't have to re-render the entire list. It knows when a particular item has changed because it uses whatever you put in there as the key to identify which one changed. I just added this key right here. Added key to the paragraph. So, I don't know about you, but whenever I see something like this, I'm thinking probably ought to have a new component anyway. Each individual message should probably be its own component. Yeah, we should probably do that. So let's make another component for each individual message. I'll call it message.js. We're about to change message list, so I'll do it after I do that. So let's make message real quick. I see no reason why message couldn't be a stateless functional component, so I'll just import React from React const message equals arrow function. Return some JSX, like a div with a class of message. Don't forget to export default message. And then we'll just put that same thing in there. We'll just put the username in the body. But this time, how's the username and how's the message going to get in there? It's going to get passed as a prop, right? So the message data is not going to live inside this message component. It's going to come from the outside, so it has to be a prop. So since this is a stateless functional component, the props are not available as this.props. They're available in an argument that's passed into the function. So when you have a stateless functional component, the props come in as an argument. A single object containing all your props. So then I could say props dot user dot display name colon curly braces props dot that's props dot message. We'll pass in the entire message as a prop. Props dot message dot user dot display name and props dot message dot body. We don't want to pass in each individual field as a prop. We'll just pass in the message itself. So here's this. Here's my message component. So we'll import this back in MessageList. I've just pasted it in Slack. So at the top of MessageList, I'll leave my blank line. I'll say import message from /message. And then what I'm going to do is instead of this paragraph, just message. But we're expecting a prop in there, right? So I expected props.message. So here I pass a prop in just like it were an HTML attribute. So message, set it to whatever I want. What do I want it to be? MSG, yeah. Current message, if I had named it that, would have been good too. Maybe that's better than MSG. But MSG, that's our message. So if we do this, it works still, but I've got that key prop error is back, right? So just need to throw on key equals msg.id again. There we go. Chatting up Storm, yo. This guy's so annoying. I hate my job. So here is my message list component in Slack. It's called, yeah. Right. I thought that was easier than keeping separate branches at this point. So you get it? So my component's actually pretty simple. I just have this huge variable up here that has these two message objects.
Can you go up to where like the array of like ID user, because I'm confused with the brackets.
I just pasted it in Slack. Yeah. Yeah, it's an array that has two objects, and the objects have objects inside them. Yo, dog. Heard you like objects. Memes so old they don't even know them. All right. So this was our first component with a prop, actually. Add a component, a message component. Add message list and a message component that receives a prop. Just to note that this is the first time we've done that thing. And we also use Array.map. Good trick. Now we've used it in the wild.